Hi, I'm Amanda McCoy Flanagan.
And I'm Ginny Smith. Welcome to Soul Rising.
On this podcast, you will hear honest, off-the-cuff, vulnerable conversations about all things love, loss, and connection.
Deep and meaningful conversations sure to pull at your heartstrings and enlighten your soul.
Again, welcome. It's time to let your soul rise. Do you feel disconnected from yourself and the world around you? Do you sense there's more to life, but you just don't know exactly what that is or how to get it? Are you searching for emotional freedom and soul evolution? Are you ready to rise? If so, you're in the right place. Friends, it's time to heal. Let me introduce myself. My name is Amanda McCoy Flanagan, and I'm kind of a good old rabble-rouser.
I'd say so.
Yeah, Ginny and I have known each other for a few years now, and I think she can attest to
some of the rousing of the rebels. Is that what it's even called? Is it rousing of the rebels?
The rebels. I don't know. Rebels? What are the rebels? I don't even know. But I rouse them. And I don't do that because I'm mean or because...
Is it rebel? Or is it I don't know. Rebel rouser. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, all the things we're going to discover on this podcast together.
God. Yes, friends. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be amazing.
All right, that's my homework tonight. I'm going to find out what exactly is a rebel and figure out if it's even a rebel rouser
thing. You should definitely tell me because I've been going my whole life up to this point saying rebel rouser. Which now I feel like it does.
Makes a lot of sense, though, doesn't it?
Rabble. Either way, please tell me because some odd years I've been saying rebel rousers this whole time. So thanks, Amanda, for teaching me something new today.
I will be sure to enlighten you.
Amazing.
So when I say rabble rouser, it's not like I'm out there fighting the world. I don't have my dukes up. I'm not looking for trouble. I have been known to ruffle a few feathers in my day. I'm pretty honest.
Yeah, I'd say you're honest.
Yeah, but I try to do that. I try to speak my truth and rouse those rebels in a way that's not hurtful.
Yeah, you know what though? You are also from New York, and well, there's this innate thing you guys carry around that has zero time for bullshit. None.
Yeah.
I mean, none. You guys have zero time for bullshit.
You're right now. You know, it's just all there. It's just right there, written all over my face. I'm one of those people where you just know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Yes.
I can't hide it. It's just right there in your face. There's just no lying, and what you see is what you get, and for good or for bad sometimes. But when I say that I'm an emotional rabble rouser, it's because I want to make you uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Like, that's just what I want to do. And I don't do it because I think I know better than you. I want you to be uncomfortable because I know for me, sitting in discomfort and that like, that thing in the belly, right? That thing that goes on, it's like, you know, it's the only way that I've ever grown. It's just, I have to feel that pain.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, it's just how it has always worked for me. I mean, it's the only way I've ever grown. I just don't grow when everything is sunshine and rainbows. You know, like, that's great. Great, awesome. Like, skipping through the daisies, wonderful. But that's not life.
No. It's not. Sometimes, I mean, we get a little bit of that here and there, but it is not always consistent. And yeah, the daisies sometimes get smashed.
By my own feet.
That's true. Sometimes we get some matches and burn them. And sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, I've crushed some daisies before.
Totally.
I'm pretty sure.
So life is, you know, it's joy, it's pain, it's happiness, it's fear, it's doubt, it's excitement. You know, it's all these things packaged into one life. But I usually don't grow when everything is great, right? So
it's true.
What I need to do when I sit in the pain is go through it. I can't go around it. I can't go above it. I can't go under it.
Nope.
Not even just in it. I have to go through it. Because when I do that, I grow. That's just what the end product is. I always grow. I mean, it always sucks. Yeah. But I always grow.
It never fails. Yeah, you don't come out of it. Well, I mean, how many times do we hear that comparison of how diamonds are formed? And, you know, I was listening to, oh my gosh, I heard something really cool the other day, which I didn't know. Do you know how pearls are formed?
Oysters, right?
Well, yeah, but do you know why they're formed?
No.
From something invasive, unless someone's totally bullshitting me, and it could be you guys, but I'm rolling with this, okay? Because it was really cool. I'm like, we read things on the, oh, guess what? But I like this story, so I'm sticking to it. Anyway, they were saying that doesn't form until something invasive from the outside makes its way in. Really? And it's, yes, whether that be like a parasite or something invades that thing, and it's an oyster, right? Yeah. So the oyster itself has this reaction to start forming to basically isolate that thing.
It hardens?
Like it hardens the pearl. So that beautiful thing that comes out of there comes from some asshole parasite.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
I thought so, because it made me think of some of the, what I mean? You think of a pearl, like it's so elegant and beautiful. Yeah. And meanwhile, something was trying to kill that oyster. Yes. And what came out of it was a pearl.
Yep. Yep.
It's pretty freaking cool.
I love that. Pearl is my birthstone, by the way. June.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very cool. But anyway, on that.
So, okay.
On that note.
So when I grow, what happens is I wind up shining my light somehow, right? Like I grow, and then I'm able to be a little bit more comfortable in my own skin, or I have a little bit more wisdom, or whatever happens, and I shine. Like it's just this after effect. It's like this afterglow of being in the pain. It's this shine. And every time I go through that, I let that door open just a little bit more for a little bit more of that light to shine out. And what happens when I come in contact to you, I spread that light to you. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that it's kind of amazing when that happens, that process, because you give people permission to do the same thing, because we're all walking around terrified to do that, whatever our reason is, and everyone has different reasons, right? We're all walking around super terrified to be in that vulnerability. And it's probably just like a survival instinct is my guess somewhere.
Definitely.
It's kind of like that. It's a fight or flight. Oh my gosh, this is so painful. Like, oh no. Whether it's, some of the times it's our ego. I think our ego, anytime we're vulnerable, that chance of our ego getting killed a little bit, it's almost the ego is like, wait.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I'm going to protect myself at all costs. I mean, like if you take it back to the caveman, like take it all the way back there. You couldn't show vulnerability.
No.
I mean, you were spearing buffalo for dinner. Dad went out. He had this big spear. He was going to find this big 1,000-pound buffalo.
He was.
And he was going to stab it for dinner, right? He couldn't start crying.
No, he could not. There was no way. He's going to be like, oh, my feelings. I'm feeling so overwhelmed with all this heaviness about killing this buffalo. Yeah. The buffalo's like, bro, you are failing right now. You almost had me, and now you're crying about your feelings, and I can't even. I'm out of here. You have failed. You were failing, and now no one in your tribe is eating for the next 3 days.
Done. You're starving, and I might even kill you before I go away.
Yes, so take your feelings there, Bob, and go back to your family and tell them that you failed as a human today.
Bob.
Ooh. Good old, I don't know, maybe that's his name, right? Yeah, and he's like, you're a failure, the buffalo's telling Bob.
Yeah, and that totally, having to protect yourself like that, having to be that hard shell, like the oyster, right? Having to be the hard shell. I'm totally using that metaphor. That's probably going to the end of this podcast, because I love that. I already have something figured out in my head about us hardening up, and we'll get there. Yeah. But, like, it served the purpose.
Well, yeah, it kept you alive.
They had to survive. They had to survive. There was no time for grief. There was no time for feelings. There just wasn't. But, after we introduce ourselves, I think that's what we're going to dive into specifically on this episode is, what is this disconnection that I believe comes from these hardened feelings, right? This protection, this fight or flight, this I'm going to protect my ego and I'm not going to get hurt and I'm going to do whatever I have to do to protect that at all costs. And I see this playing out everywhere I go. I'm running errands, right? I'm at the supermarket. I look at somebody, or they look at me, because I'm guilty of it too. I do it too. And one of us looks away.
Yeah.
One of us just, I don't know if we feel uncomfortable or
is this going to be, what is about to happen right here? Maybe some of that is that innate old kind of like fight or flight instinct. I mean, I know where I grew up in Albuquerque, you had to be a little careful of that anyway, because somebody might be looking at you and you're like, oh no, is this guy going to shoot me? And
Yeah, there
I
are
mean,
certain
there's
times
some
when
of
you do
that.
have to protect yourself, like, for
Yes.
sure. Like,
But, like, it just, you're right. There's just this average, when we're walking around, we do not want to engage. To connect with somebody is almost, we're protecting ourselves.
it's scary. It feels scary. But I don't think I have to tell anybody this. I'm pretty sure we're very much aware, everybody listening to this, that we are so freaking divided right now, and it is scary shit.
It's so scary. We're divided, like, even amongst our own families of people that we share blood and, like, DNA with. It is fucking bananas.
Totally bananas. This podcast is called Soul Rising, All In on Love, Loss, and Connection. And connection is going to be the taproot. It's going to be the foundation where everything else that we talk about is going to stem back to connection and how love affects connection, how loss affects, how grief, how pain, all that affects connection or disconnection. But that connection piece, because we feel so strongly about this, especially right now.
Oh my gosh.
In our society, that connection piece is going to be what's going to tie all the conversations together.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, many of you know, and I know there's people out there too right now that are like, I don't even listen to the news. I don't even pay attention.
Yeah, I stopped.
It's because it becomes so overwhelming to listen to. I mean, it's huge right now. Just that basic connection. I know that we're definitely missing it in our day-to-day. Just the connection to each other, and quite honestly, the connection to ourselves. We're kind of all just floundering about.
Climate change is huge, right? Like, whether you believe in it, whether you don't. I mean, I don't know. It's been snowing here in Colorado for like 2 months straight. Every time I look out my window, it's snow falling.
Look, there's 12 feet of ice in the driveway. That's great.
Yeah, we need the snow. But the reality of climate change is they changed it from global warming to climate change because it does not mean that it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. Climate change, and what's the effect that's happening on the earth, is it's going to get colder and colder in the winter and hotter in the summer. So the polar extremes, that's what's going on. I'm a climate change advocate. Well, I don't advocate for climate change. I advocate, for climate action.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's climate action is what I advocate for.
Yes.
A vegan, I have solar panels on my roof. I have a charging station in my garage. I'm going to get an electric vehicle once the price of breathing actually goes down. I mean, I feel like I can't even leave my house.
$35 just to breathe.
Yeah. Seriously. It's $6 for like an egg.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
Yes. Although, you know what? I don't know, the other day, and I don't know if it was like a misprice or what, but I didn't even care. I was like, 60 eggs. This is how much money. I went ahead and I guess. I shouldn't be that person, Amanda, but I was that person. I was like, 60 eggs for this? Okay, we're grabbing 120 eggs.
Did you grab your toilet paper too?
I should have, right? And I really tried to not be that person during COVID, but we eat a lot of eggs, guys, all right? I saw
do what you gotta do, girl.
I know.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Nobody stopped me. They weren't like, hey, lady, you
with the eggs.
You with the extra eggs.
Are you going to toilet paper and egg? Is it homecoming?
Can you believe I saw that the other day, and I had to laugh because people were talking like, oh, wow. Remember the days when we could just go about and waste toilet paper and eggs as a prank? Ha ha ha. Yeah. Now we're like, oh my gosh, I have to take out a loan to get some
Seriously,
eggs.
But fucking world. So, we could save like 9 million cows tonight, right? Everybody in the world could go vegan, or we could try to save the planet. We could stop using the bags, right? Colorado just put 10 cents a bag. That's all good.
Such an uproar, too. People were very upset.
Yeah, and first of all, the plastic is like just a tiny, tiny piece of this problem. Bucket. It's like maybe 1% of the problem. Maybe. Yeah. So that's just almost like a feel-good thing, right? Let's put some feel-good legislation out there to make it look like we're actually doing something.
What's amazing about that feel-good stuff is that as much as someone on one side is feeling good, it's just so inflammatory to someone else who's like, why are you taking my bags?
I don't know what to do with those plastic bags. Like, what do you do? I used to have all these bags around. I'm like, I don't want these bags. Throw them in the garbage.
For trash can liners.
Yeah.
If you have not been on like the chat rooms, then not even chat rooms. What am I, like 1992 and AOL? I'm all, hey guys.
On your dial-up?
Yeah, my dial-up. People, I watched, the local, like, hey, so-and-so of the little neighborhood, like, next door app, and I literally saw there was one thread. People were going off.
About the bags?
Yes. Like, I literally I didn't do it because it would have been really smart-ass of me, but I wanted to be like, Thoughts and prayers for everyone during this time.
Life is so hard,
Thoughts
people.
and prayers to everyone in this bag crisis, because people were like, what am I going to do? And what happens when I have my groceries delivered? I was like, oh no, or it's so bad. Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, we
Polarizing.
could do all that. We could make all this legislation. We could fix inflation. I mean, we could cure all of that. But if we're afraid of each other, if I can't look somebody in the eye or they look me in the eye, we can't have that instinct to smile, right? If we are disconnected, that disconnection, that energy that we're putting out there is going to take us down no matter what.
Oh, yeah. There's absolutely no way around that. It's fear, right?
Yeah, and we're never going to cure climate change and all the other threats to humanity, really, frankly. I mean, we're never going to get there afraid of each other. And if we keep putting out this negative energy that's repelling us from one another, because that's totally what's going on.
Yeah, it is. No, you're right. It is. It is fear. It's 100% fear. And it's crazy because, you know, it doesn't even matter where you fall on what side of anything, but that division, I don't know. I can't help but feel in some ways, and not to be like this, but really it's like in some ways there has to be somebody who gains from us being that divided, but I just feel like it's surely not us. Like, it's not humans. It is not humanity that gains from such division. But man, oh my gosh, has it been super convincing for us.
Yes.
Whew, I mean, it has been scary. You know, you're pretty sure that the person standing on the other side of your beliefs or your thoughts is just straight up the enemy. And it's like, oh no, that's not the case. And we're supposed to be able, you know, we're all supposed to be able to be here. We all have something to give each other anyway. That's the whole point. Like, if we're all thinking exactly the same and viewing things the same, we don't learn. Just like you were saying earlier, you know what I mean, about being uncomfortable in a place is how we grow. So by stopping and listening to the point where you're open enough to where, you know, you're maybe somebody that doesn't even look like you, somebody that doesn't have the same thinking as you.
Totally. That's how you're gonna learn.
Yeah.
Right? If I hang out with everybody who's just like me, if I hang out with a bunch of 42-year-old women, white women, brown hair, brown eyes, you know, shopping for the organic galas in the supermarket, you know, like, hey, I'm gonna, like, you know, buddy up to this chick and I'm gonna say hi to her because she's just like me and I'm not afraid of her, you know. But if I could do, and that's great, anybody that we can connect with, awesome. But if I could do that with somebody who is completely different than me, doesn't look like me, you know, maybe somebody running around with like a bunch of flags or something on their car, I don't know, I might be like, yeah, I'm gonna automatically assume you're different than me, and I'm gonna most likely, my first instinct, I'll be completely honest, that like quick second like default is you know, like they're
shut down.
They're on the other side, right?
Yes, of my beliefs, of my thoughts, and there's a good chance they are, but I mean, who knows? How do we know? But
that's okay.
Sure? But
why is that so bad?
It's not so bad, and that's the whole point. Because anytime I've sat, and that's a huge thing for me. That obviously we've seen this division even among anybody can talk about how literally they're even fighting amongst their own family, family members, children, with their parents. I mean, siblings. There's people who are at the point of it has become such a divisive thing, and again, it's such this fear based. Like, there's something about what you believe that's going to take some part of my security away. And instead of just sitting there and listening to someone and really giving each other the freedom and the space to be who each of us is without being terrified because that person is different than me. You know?
If I could just say, hey, how are you? What's going on? How you doing today? And feel genuinely connected. I mean, it's simple as that. It takes literally 5 seconds. And that breaks down the walls. My walls and their walls. And that does so much for the energy of the planet. And it raises the frequency more than anything else we can do, more than any law that's made or anything like that. And that ultimately is what's going to keep the planet around. I mean, that's just like the honest truth of it.
I agree 100% with you. I think that, I don't know. I think so many of us are trying to diffuse our past, like maybe even wounds. It's like there's a bunch of us that are still stuck in that same place because, well, by design, right? We're stuck in this, an identity, I guess, right? Something about our identity, or something about, like I was saying before, the part of you that might be taking away something from me. It's like we have forgotten how to connect because we're basically at battle with one another all the time, even over it's like you're gonna affect my rights or my way of living right now instead of just getting back to that human connection.
All that stuff doesn't matter.
No.
Like, it really doesn't matter, because the most important thing that we all have in common is being human.
Yes.
And we forget that.
Yes.
That's
the one thing connecting us. It's a common thread. It's the one thing.
It cannot be severed. Like, it will always be there. You could, life could change in all these crazy ways, but we will always be human beings. I was just going to say beings with hearts beating in our chests, blood pumping through the veins.
Through the veins, yep. And what's crazy, I was thinking about this, it's like, and pretty much the same color. Like, if you walk up and you see some blood on the concrete, you're not looking at it, and being like, oh, that's an African American person's blood, or that's I don't know. We bleed the same color. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that the conservatives and the Democrats all bleed the same. The conservatives bleed red, the Democrats bleed blue. Oh my gosh, you're not right there. That's definitely a libertarian's blood, for sure. For sure. So, we honor differences here. I'm not trying to say that we're all the same. I don't like that concept either, because we're not all the same. No, and we shouldn't have to be, or we shouldn't be. We aren't. That's the truth. We should be honored for the differences. Right. But what I'm saying is that by ignoring that basic connection, that human connection underneath those differences, so like it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? It seems like we live in a very black and white world. So if I subscribe to one idea, then I have to get on board with A, B, and C under that, or that just takes over the whole conversation. Yes. Not true. Like, why can't we have those differences and honor those differences, but still acknowledge that we are all human and that we do have that one basic connection, that one similar thread, like you said. And by denying that thread, we're going to lose. Oh, we're just going to lose. 100%. We are going to lose. We're going to cave from the inside. Like, we're going to self-combust, and it's going to be our own fault. Yeah. Because I can't blame the government, we can't blame this, we can't blame that. Because when we perpetuate, right, when we, like you said a couple of times, it's purposeful. Yeah. There is a division that is being pushed onto us. COVID was a perfect example. Yeah. That situation was just like... so divisive. And they just pounced on it. They were like, and they used it for political gain. Yeah. And it was like, this is a great opportunity to split. The Democrats, we're going to feed them this information on such and such news channel. And then we're going to feed these people, the conservatives, this information. All of it just like riddled with fear. You know, on top of that, somewhere in between, no one knew what was going on. And everyone took, it almost feels like, again, that fight or flight instinct we were in. There was a lot of power. They saw that. They saw that, and they seized that. Yes. They said, okay, this is a great opportunity. Man. Yeah, and again, no matter where you stood, because the truth of the matter is, I know a good amount of people who passed away from that virus. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It was a deadly disease. It was a deadly disease. It killed a lot of people. It did. But at the same time... 1 million, maybe more, actually. I don't know if people know that. I don't even know. It killed, I saw like 1 million people and probably... Yeah. It's been a lot. I was doing everything that I was supposed to be doing during that time, but also at the same time, having friends who were like, hey, listen, I work in the medical field over here, and they were maybe on the opposite side, and somebody telling them like a whole other set of information that to me was bananas. Like I said earlier, I mean, crazy off the wall, but like I have some really good friends who are in that thought process. And when I sat and gave myself an opportunity to sit and listen to why they felt that way, or what the information was they did hear and the parts that they didn't hear, I was able to say, okay, I get it though. Like, if nothing else, I may not agree, but man, I get it. Why this person would feel this way. Yeah. We don't do that enough, because it's just, again, perfect opportunity to just drive a wedge. Yep. In between and then to harden the ego, right? So like, if I could say, you know what, you're wrong and I'm right, it actually sets off a chemical in your brain. I don't know if it's dopamine or I don't know what it is, but that ego, that flexing of the ego pumps you up with some kind of feel-good chemical, and we just want to feed that. Probably adrenaline. Probably. Well, we needed it, and we were getting ready to spear buffalo. Kill the friggin' buffalo. Exactly. We needed that. Yes. What? Are you talking shit, buffalo? Watch watch this. No. But I mean, now because we don't have to kill a buffalo, it does become that. It's what? Everything is, it's still, in our DNA in a way. How crazy. Like, it's like so much of our DNA. And when I've heard this, again, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys right now, I'm no anthropologist, okay, guys? I've listened to enough where they've talked about that our DNA itself hasn't changed much in many, many years, but our brains have, like our ability to develop even just consciously and making sense of things. But I also feel like now our spirits are evolving too, no matter what that is. And I think they are evolving. So at the same time, you have this like evolution going on, but there's so much of these programs in our DNA from back in the time. So we find ways to like still be in them without even recognizing that.
Well, that's what's going on right now. We're going through a huge shift.
Oh, yeah.
Where we are being reprogrammed, but we don't necessarily have the tools in place as humans, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, to handle this shift that's happening.
No.
So we're all in this fight or flight. We're succumbing to these basic instinct sort of reactions.
Right.
And when we act one way, and like I said, that ego gets flexed and that chemical comes out, wow, that feels really, really good. That feels really freaking good.
It's better than feeling afraid.
It's better than feeling afraid or vulnerable, or maybe like I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Could that possibly be? Maybe I don't have it all figured out. Maybe what I heard this morning on such and such news channel might not be true.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Because that's even more terrifying.
Exactly. Because we're relying on these people to give us information, especially when shit's hitting the fan like COVID.
Yeah.
Like I had it on every single day. Wake up, turn on the TV.
Yeah.
What are they telling me today? What do I need to know today? I was so totally all up in it.
You're not alone in that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when we're dealing with a life-threatening illness, we want to know how to protect ourselves and what's going on.
Right. Or you have, I had plenty of family members and good friends, too, that were on the opposite side listening to what information today are we going to find out about how this is a hoax, and what are we going to find out today about, what am I going to be told about how this is being used to manipulate me?
Mm-hmm.
But
how can I be smarter? How can I outsmart it?
Yeah, but everybody was being fed, us from a fire hose,
and we fell for it hook, line, and sinker. Almost every single one.
To the point where people were like, "You can't come over for Thanksgiving." You know what I mean? Do you know anybody who that happened with? Because I know a lot of people.
Yep. Yeah.
That happened with.
This is why I'm compelled to talk about this stuff, people. This is why we're starting this podcast, because I think a lot of you out there are feeling this energy, this heavy energy, and you just don't know what to do with it. You're like, holy shit, things are changing. I'm feeling things. I know there's something going on out there, but I'm not really sure what it is. And not that Ginny and I are these great sages that we have all of your answers.
Speak for yourself, Amanda. I'm such a great sage.
I found her up on the hilltop.
Yeah, that's right.
I asked her to come down with the little people and enlighten me. Ginny's pretty friggin' awesome. So what we want to do on this podcast, I think I can speak for Ginny, we want to give you guys this safe space, really, a safe place to be able to think about this kind of stuff and come to your own conclusions about how you feel and how you're going to act in what people are calling the new earth. Who are you going to be, right? We are building a new earth. We're basically emerging from these old patterns and these old ways, which really is just full of tons of dysfunction.
They don't serve us anymore.
Exactly. So how are we going to navigate this thing, and who are you going to show up at? Who do you want to be?
Right.
Do you want to, keep living like we all were, in this fear and this fight or flight and this ego and this, all this stuff that's controlling you? Really? I laugh sometimes when we talk about freedom in America and all this kind of stuff. And yes, this is definitely still the best place on earth to live.
For sure.
I will never deny that. We have rights. We have freedoms. I'm a woman. I could get whatever kind of degree, whatever kind of job. I could get whatever education. I could dress however I want. I could say whatever I want, right? Like it really is the best place. I can vote. Yeah. I mean, there is so much that I could do living in America, so I'm definitely not taking anything away from that. But we are not free.
No, we are not free at all.
We are in shackles emotionally, we mentally. We are like the little, powers that be. We're like the little puppets on the end of the string. Oh my gosh, yeah. Right? And the
distracted
media.
Easily, very few. Again, even just taking the time to be, and back to fight or flight. I know we've said this a lot, but there's a lot of really amazing people I listen to, whether through podcasts or different people on YouTube, and just so I can get a perspective on everything. But having people and hearing people talk about that, when we're in the state of fight or flight, that's not a place where you're creative. It's not a place where you're innovating ideas. That's not the state. When you're in fight or flight for your life, again, when we're talking about spring the buffalo, I'm not like, oh, I'm going to do that wonderful painting out there. Like, we're in fight or flight. We're not talking about creating anything new. We are surviving, doing whatever it is to survive at that time. Yes. So the ability for people to get back to even coming up with ideas together, being innovative, or even allowing themselves the quiet space for those thoughts. We don't even give ourselves a chance to be bored anymore. Yeah. When you used to stand in line at the bank, guess what? You had to sit there like, oh, jeez, this line sucks. But you sat there and you thought about things and you were, oh, I wonder. You connected. Moments. Yeah. You
connected with yourself. And by all the distraction, the social media. I mean, like, there's so many different layers to this. What we're talking about is it's distracting us from our true selves and from our true power. I'm staring at a sign right now that says, you are more powerful than you think.
Yep.
And I look at that every day when I meditate, and I, and it's not in this egotistical way, but it's a way for me to tap into my innate spiritual blended with my human, right? I think that's also why we're all sort of led astray right now, is because we're separating out this human and this spirit thing, which is really all one. Yeah. And by being distracted and not being able to be creative and not being able to feel inspired and feel our true selves inside, that keeps us small.
Spark. Yeah, that spark that we all have.
Yes, by blowing that spark out. Or I call it a pilot light. I believe we have this pilot light that's constantly lit inside of us. And that sometimes, that flame gets really big. It's beautiful. It's robust. It's orange. It's yellow. It is just, I'm good. I'm on the beam, flying high, right?
Yes.
And then other times, it's just kind of there. It's just kind of there. Not really doing much. And how scary would that be for the powerful people that are sort of running shit? If all of those flames were like super bright and burning all the time and we weren't running around scared, like what a threat is that, right? So when we talk about the division, one of my main goals is to bridge people back together. I feel like that's kind of why I'm here on earth.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And I want to do it through various mediums. I'm writing a book, I'm doing this podcast, and I feel like instead of having us divided, which, a divided house cannot stand. I mean, that's the whole thing that's trying to go on here, is to break us down so they can come swoop in and do what they want. But I want us to come together. Exactly. Like power in numbers. Like, why are we fighting each other when each other are not the problem?
No.
They, whoever they are, them, right? Us first, them, that whole thing. Like, that, I hate to see that they're winning.
Yeah. For me, and I was able to finally let go because there was a part of me, I found myself. I've always been pretty good about being able to see something, see the thing in someone and be like, this is why I love this person, whether it's one of my uncles or my aunts or like one of my family members or somebody I've known for a long time. I have always been able to do that, but I found it starting to get really difficult. Like if there were friends from high school that I knew and loved so much and I saw their Facebook post and I'm like, what are you saying? Like, just found myself all of a sudden like, how could this person be thinking this way? And it scared me to see how quickly I was ready to disengage because what they had to say and the emotional charge behind it caused me to start being like, okay, this is freaking me out because never in a million years would I have thought that I may not want to interact with this person because I love this person.
Yes, and this disengagement in the name of mental health that is this big popular thing going around the personal development world, like they're toxic. I hate that. I hate when people are called toxic.
Yeah,
like there are toxic situations, there are toxic relationships. Right. People are not toxic, okay? But by convincing myself that they are, and I separate, right, again, I'm shoring up that ego, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm disengaging in the name of mental health that those people are bad for me. And yeah, I'm not talking about abuse people. Right. I'm not talking about like really, really harmful shit. I'm talking about like with Ginny, you see somebody that you're friends with on Facebook and they happen to say something different than you believe and you automatically shut it down, never talking to that person again because they don't believe like me. Yes. That is so detrimental. Again, that's that bad energy that's going to bring us down. And our challenge living today, which I don't know, I completely believe, and I've heard from other people in the spiritual community, we are all incarnated right now to do this kind of work on this planet. Yeah. Whether you know it or not, it is our mission to heal the planet. So
you're here for the big show. You're here for the big show.
The big show. The main stage, baby. Yeah. You are on the main stage right now. And by denying this thing that's going on in the name of I'm protecting myself and I'm not going to go there and I'm not going to look at that. Bad news, people.
Yeah, totally. It is. Because that's exactly like you were saying, that losing that connection, that bit of, well, again, humanity. There's something pretty amazing about human beings and everything that we are gifted and our ability, yes, you know, to think for ourselves, but to also have this sense of feeling. It's a unique experience being a human being, I imagine. I don't think I've been anything else that I can recall. However, there's a lot to that. And I had told Tom, my husband, at one point, like, I really honestly believe that this is like WWE. Remember, like, back in the day? And it's not even back in the day. It's still, people love WWE, right? But you have the guys, the wrestlers, who were like, oh, yeah. Like, they're, like, fighting and breaking chairs and shit on each other, like, in this ring. And everyone's standing outside, yeah, whatever, Randy Savage, or whatever their names were. I'm Randy screwing Savage, them all up. Yeah. Guys, don't kill me. I know there's some hardcore WWE people out there. But at the same time, it was all choreographed. Like, I feel like, at least with politics, that they're literally all just like, all right, let's go, Joe.
Part of the PR plan are we going to work today, people? This master marketing PR stunt. Yeah,
they're like, what's the story now? They'll be like, well, Joe, you're still batshit crazy, pal. You're going to go, you know, and then it's like, hey, Nancy Pelosi. Then we're looking at, oh, hey, Jim Jordan. Okay, well, Jim's going to, whatever. And then I feel like.
Very orchestrated.
Orchestrated in a way that everybody's on the outside just like, losing their shit. Yeah,
because maybe we know this. Maybe we can sense this. Yeah. Maybe there's a part of us. If we, again, they won't allow us to get quiet enough to tap in and tune in to what our senses, our intuition is telling us is true. Because then we might step out of line. Again, that's why I say we're not really free in America. You know, so we want to help you to feel safe enough to maybe mull this stuff over, think about this stuff, and maybe even bring it to other people. Bring it to your family. Bring it to the dinner table. Oh, boy. To the Thanksgiving dinner table, you know, with Aunt Mary and Uncle Joe, you know, who are completely different from you and sit on the complete other side of all of this.
If Uncle Joe's letting you back this year because he told your ass, don't bring your snowflake ass to Thanksgiving this year.
Joe, come on, Uncle Joe, be nice.
I love Uncle Joe. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. I'm like, you know what, Uncle Joe, all right. But that's what I mean. We should be able to hear him out. He's got some good things to say. Hey, he fought in World War II. Okay?
Totally. There's definitely always a good thing. If you look hard enough at those people that you despise or you're like, you can find stuff in them that you can respect.
Always. Like, always. Even if it is just the fact that for me, and that's what I started doing to, like, myself, I had to be like, I have to have some respect for the fact that my friends who did not want to get the vaccine, even when they were going to give up their 25-year careers, like, something to be said about their level of commitment to that. Yes. Because they believed in that. And when I got outside of my own, like, what the fuck is wrong with them? They're going to, you know, I was like, wait, hold on. I need to look at the fact that this person feels so strongly about
this. They really believe in this stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
They truly believe it.
Who am I to tell them that they're wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they're committing to this. And I think for me that started to help me let go of some of that fear about it.
So 16 years ago, I was on the road to nowhere. I was going down. My ship was sinking super fast. I was 26 years old. I was doing some drugs. I was drinking a ton of alcohol. And I was just dying. I was dying inside.
Oh, physically and even
and every way. Yeah. And mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. I was just this shell of a person. I was just walking around, just dying. And I really needed to heal. So by the grace of God, I went through the process of recovery.
Amazing.
Yes. So Ginny is a singer.
Just sometimes I like to think I am.
Oh, you are.
16 years though. Oh my gosh, Amanda. It's a miracle.
It's pretty big. It's pretty big. So my brother, Jeremy, died from this disease 5 years ago. And I know a lot of other people who have overdosed and died, or just took their life, like not even drunk, just depressed, just miserable, you know.
That dark place.
People that are not in recovery and aren't close to people who are in recovery, they don't know that what we suffer from is a spiritual malady. We have a soul sickness.
Yep.
We are suffering inside. And I think I could speak again for Ginny. I'm sorry, I'm probably putting a lot of words in your mouth here, but I think I know you pretty well.
Don't worry, I'll throw something at you. I'll be like, bitch, why are you talking for me? I'm just kidding. No, you're very right, so go ahead.
But we're healers. And I don't have to feel bad about saying that. I know who I am. I know my mission on earth, and it is to help people heal. And we've used our higher power to heal us. This is definitely not like a religious podcast.
Right. Don't worry.
Anything like that. We both have a very strong sense of spirituality.
For sure.
We really want to pass that on to you in whatever way we can. I mean, we're not teaching you how to recover from anything. This is not like a recovery podcast or anything like that. But maybe a soul recovery. Mm-hmm. Maybe what we want to teach you is how your soul and your spirit can recover from this pummeling that we've taken.
Exactly.
I mean, everybody as a species, like mankind, like from the beginning of time, you know, like we've just been through some hard shit.
And it doesn't matter if you came from, it might have been different if you grew up poor, or you grew up with addict parents, or you grew up rich, or you grew, whatever. Either way, it's incredible the level of pain that people have in their life story.
That's a great point. I mean, you could come from the Partridge Family childhood and everything could have been great, but there's still suffering there because we are on earth to complete these lessons and to learn lessons. So unless you're totally living in denial and living under a rock and just kind of like not looking at shit, there's stuff that's going to come up for you. So life is painful, and no matter what kind of life, and we really want to help you heal.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head, and that's really a very good way to put it. I too just hit 6 years in early December. Yeah! Thank you. Yeah, honestly, walking miracles. Many of us are walking miracles, and it's heartbreaking for me. I know you too, Amanda. You're talking about Jeremy, your brother. It's heartbreaking to know so many people that are still caught in the throes of this, and I'm thankful every day that today I am not. And I really try to stay humble in that manner and have compassion for the people that still are, because it's a treacherous road.
Totally.
I think those of us that have been down that road where, you know, we've either had it in our genetics, it could have come up at some point. I'm talking about like with the level of addiction. I know, like for me, I have it in my physical genetics, and I think some of our families are just carrying generational pain, which is another crazy thing I heard last night, and it might be bullshit, but it did something for me to hear this. They were saying that there's actual studies that show, almost like muscle memory, that some of the genetics that we are carrying the trauma of its ancestors past.
It's cellular.
Yes.
It is cellular.
Holy shit.
And it is passed down from one generation to the next. Yes. And why life is so painful right now is because we are charged with breaking those chains.
For generations of people.
Literally, the DNA chains, right? Like we are looking to... We're doing some serious work. That's why it's so painful.
Yeah, I think that is why it's so painful. And again, I think that those of us that have been in a place, and I say fortunate enough to have some type of substance that has been had a bigger hold on us. We have sat in those dark periods for a pretty long time, like a diffused state of not being connected to ourselves, whether that be through alcohol. For me, it was alcohol, through drugs, through sex, through gambling, through spending, through chaos. P.S. And by the way, be addicted to chaos.
Totally.
I know for sure I wasn't. It was also just because it was familiar to me, and I think it was familiar possibly for my parents and even generations past that. There's been hard things that people have gone through, and I think that I don't know. I think everybody's got a thing, right?
Everybody's got a thing. If you look hard enough, you'll find your thing. Whether that's watching too much TV, eating too much, whatever it is, and some of it is more detrimental than others. Yeah, there should be a program for every single human being. Like if you're breathing, you probably need a program.
I have thought that exact same thing. Being able to gratefully find some of these programs and how much sense it makes, because it's not just like, hey, we're going to help you not drink vodka in your car. We're going to help you live and like not hate everything, right? I have often been like, golly, this is great stuff. Like there should be a program for, I don't know, like living.
I say they should teach the 12 steps in kindergarten. Like it should
Seriously.
be like a thing.
It should be a thing.
I call myself a grateful alcoholic.
So do I.
When I heard people say that when I first got to recovery,
you wanted to punch the shit out of them.
Yeah, I was like, grateful? You're grateful for this? Like, what are you, nuts?
I feel like a piece of trash. What do you mean, grateful?
Yeah, and grateful that I can't ever drink again?
Right, this is stupid.
Like, that's insanity. But now I get it. Because if I was not in that dark, dark place, you know, if I wasn't there for as long as I was and suffering, I would not have gone to the depths of healing and had the willingness to heal and then embrace this beautiful way of life that I get to live today.
Yeah. That somebody helped give us some tools for it. That's the other thing, maybe, that it's, I don't know, like we've had that amazing, wonderful opportunity of gaining some tools just to be, we're going to sit in this, with this dark thing. You hear people talk about our shadow selves. Like you hear that, whether that be even in like the spiritual world or wherever else. You hear people talk about our shadow selves. And I think that those of us that have been addicts in any way, I think that we have partied with that shadow self a lot. Yeah. So, yes. And
everybody has that shadow. Everybody has that. Whether you're an addict or a human being, right? The duality of spirit, yin, the yang, the dark, the light. Everybody has that darkness, and you gotta mess with that thing. Like it's not gonna go away. Like you gotta go in.
You almost have to. It's like it's. Yeah. I almost wonder if it's like if half the time, like that shadow self is really just needing to be heard instead of avoiding.
A little light. It needs to come to the surface. It
needs to be heard.
Yeah, it needs to be heard. It needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be healed. And you are not gonna outrun that shadow, no matter how fast you try to run away.
I've tried. My shadow's a hoe bag, and it's fast. I can never outrun her. She's
always there. My shadow is a little smaller today, I guess I could say, after doing all this work on it, but it's always there. Right. There's always more work to do. There's always more layers to peel.
I think I'm less judgy of my shadow self now, because, and I mean, it's tough. I know there's a lot of you out there that have loved ones that have been addicts or alcoholics, and you've had to be on the outside of that. Let's be real, like addiction is the most selfish, nasty, ugly disease, and people really get put through the ringer when they have a loved one who is in that place. But I can tell you the level of disdain you can feel for yourself in that place. You're so angry at somebody for continuing to make this decision, and even to the point where a lot of us have lost our loved ones, and you're so pissed off at them. Why could you choose this for your family and over us? We have to deal with you not being here. I know that the person in that place is like asking themselves that. They're choking on that same question 1,000 times a day. They don't want to be there. It's a freaking dark, ugly place to be. You hate yourself in that place.
Well, to Ginny's point, it's not a choice, you know, for anybody out there who's struggling with themselves or with somebody else that they love, and asking those questions. Why are they doing this? Why don't they stop? Why don't they just stop? Right? They can't, and it's not a choice. My brother Jeremy left behind a beautiful daughter. Do you think that he, like, intentionally chose drugs over her?
No way.
No. I mean, no human being, especially a parent, could choose anything over their child. That's the grip that addiction has on a human being.
Yeah.
So,
and circling back to that idea is that there is that innate place in each of us that is hurting and broken. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who's getting to the point or the throes of addiction, but there's a bunch of us just in humanity that we're struggling with anxiety, or you're struggling with depression, or you're struggling with just like wondering what is going on in the world. The people who are at a place where they're like, oh, I need to numb this out. You know, not everybody suffers from those things, but I do feel as a whole, we're all suffering, like you said, Amanda, from this spiritual disconnect.
Yeah, and that pain is going to grow stronger as the division grows stronger. Because, you know, we have the social media, we have all this stuff, we have this technology, and you would think we'd be more connected.
You would.
But
you would think.
we're not, because
No.
I cannot sit down with you, look into your eyes, look into your soul. I cannot feel your pain genuinely. That energetic exchange.
Oh, well, on top of the fact that we're looking on Instagram, we're looking at all these places, and I mean, I'm probably bullshitting you the whole time. Oh, everything's great, and life's amazing.
Yeah.
But look at these pictures, and look at this, and oh, wow. So most of us aren't even being authentic and real in that manner anyway, like you're saying. Looking someone in the eyes and having a conversation. I think that there's other people comparing their lives and going, wow, my life really sucks compared to so-and-so. Showed me her pictures of Hawaii on her Instagram. Yeah. But it's not real. So it's like...
Those are the highlights. You're watching the highlight reel.
Right. Versus like...
Most of the time.
Yeah, the highlight reel that's been like just with all the good things. But being able to say, hey, you know what? Shit really sucks. Like, I'm going through it. Maybe we could go sit down and have a conversation. And when you do, it's like all of a sudden that guard is down and you figure out you're not alone.
And there are some people getting more real on Instagram. I follow a lot of grief stuff, trauma stuff. I follow some, I guess, downbeat type stuff.
It's real.
It is real. I try to stick with the people that are being the most authentic. But then again, okay, so I see this post and it's like, all right, but now what? Now what?
Right.
Like, what do I do with that? Like, now you woke me up. Now I see that. Now I know it. But now what? I wish that I could call that person and be like, hey, can we talk more about this? Right? So, yeah, social media is helping somewhat to enlighten us in some ways, but it will never be the same as just coming together, you know? And but, you know, sometimes I think that the division has to happen. Like, sometimes I feel like there's a reason for all of this, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I do trust the plan. I'm not trying to play God and say, like, we should do this or we shouldn't do that. I have my ideas on stuff, but, you know, being human, being a mortal soul, I'm never going to truly know. We're not supposed to know what's going on. The mystery of faith tells us that we're just supposed to trust. But while we're navigating this really, really tough time, we don't have to make it even more painful. Like, this shit's crumbling, people. We all know this. It is coming down all around us, on all sides.
And why make it tougher on ourselves and each other? Like, why are we going to make it even worse on each other?
Yeah, why does it have to be even harder? It doesn't. It doesn't.
I don't think it does. I mean, I guess that's maybe why, you know, you and I can sit here and have conversations and why it feels so important to sharing those conversations with not just me and you at the coffee shop, right? It's like,
exactly.
Really.
Again, I'm grateful alcoholic because I have met some really real people in recovery that it's just the heart's on the sleeve. They're saying what they feel. It's coming from the depths of their soul. They're vulnerable. They're just
and
my
it's a
kind
safe
of
place
people.
to do it, which is crazy. It's a huge thing, but I think you're right in talking about things crumbling. I think that a lot of old ways that don't serve us anymore are gonna crumble.
Yeah, and that probably looks like, when we say crumble, like what I mean by crumble is that whole power structure that's going on. I look at this whole issue that we're dealing with, everything almost like classism at the top. That's the umbrella to me. Was classism really? That's the main problem we're dealing with. And then all the other issues are underneath that. Racism, the sexism, the ageism, all the ism, everything that we're dealing with, all the oppression, everything that's going on is stemming from this power structure that is purposefully, very purposefully, hundreds of years ago, very purposefully put in place to keep a lot of us down. So
keep people divided for sure.
Yeah.
For me lately, even thinking about things crumbling, I feel like our energy is currency and how we spend it. I don't know. I feel like you could have a tank full of gas and be like, okay, I have a tank full of gas. My car's in my driveway. I'm going to drive to New Mexico.
Put $100 worth of gas in it first.
I'm gonna put $2 million worth of gas.
I may as well just hold my bills out the window and light them on fire.
Light them on fire. That's because where it's going. But with the idea that, like, okay, I'm going to drive to New Mexico. And then never putting the car in gear and just hitting the gas pedal to the metal, but with the car in park and never getting anywhere, but spending that energy, spending that gas.
Yes.
I feel like right now with everything that we do, so much of our energetic currency is being caught up in all of these things that aren't about us growing or connecting. We're scrolling, we're buying, we're looking, we're Amazoning, we're this, we're that, we're worried, we're watching the news, we're doing all these things. So how we spend our energetic currency, I think, is crumbling too.
Totally. It's all tied together. The material and the spiritual really are one.
They are.
And I'm really grateful to be alive right now where this shift is occurring. People are waking up. People are getting curious or asking questions. They're reading books. They're listening to podcasts. They're doing all this stuff and they're learning because it's the beginning, really, of this chiseling away at this power structure that's kept all of this just terrible anguish in people's lives in place. And that continual needing to escape it, putting the pedal to the metal and that energetic currency. That's why we're so exhausted all the time.
All the time.
We're so exhausted.
But we've gotten nowhere at the end of the day. You're like, oh my gosh, I felt like what all did I do today? And you're like, I don't know, because there's still 15 pounds of laundry over there, and I still have this. And yes, we're exhausted.
So if we can use our energy in a way that is really more spirit-driven, you know, to just come in and through me. That's one of like the things that we do in recovery is we ask our higher power, he, she, it, they, doesn't freaking matter. It's all energy, whatever you want to call it, to come in and through me and to be basically a conduit for that energy. It is a lot less exhausting because it's not me doing it. And it's usually kinder and more compassionate and more loving and less fear-based.
Less needing to be the driver of the bus. You're like, no, you know what? I kind of sucked at being the driver of the bus. So I'm going to let something bigger than me, than this ego that I've kind of lived by for a long time, something bigger than this ego, be the one driving the bus.
Yeah, another sign I'm looking at right now in my meditation cave, by the way. We are coming to you
meditation cave.
Straight from the meditation cave.
I was wondering, because I was like, this is great. This space. Please talk. Yeah, I was going to call it the spiritual bunker. So close. Meditation cave.
You know what? If I didn't think of meditation cave first, that's what it would be.
A spiritual bunker.
I love a spiritual bunker.
It's badass in here. And it makes me feel like I'm walking into a bookstore, a spiritual bookstore, where I might be. Yeah, I got to do that a lot in Los Angeles. It reminds me of my friend Brian. Oh my gosh, that's exactly what the space reminds me of. I actually lived with him. We had an apartment living in Hollywood, California. And the smells in here and the things and the crystals
all the
things. And the tarot cards. But yet, the sage.
Please, nobody buy me anything else for my meditation cave. Thank you so much, all of you, for all of these beautiful things you've given me.
Full.
But I don't really want to have to get rid of anything. That's really like such a tough call for me.
Beautifully placed though, and it's like everything in it. There's a lot of good vibes in here.
Maybe one day we'll video from it here. And
we should, because it's super cool. And yeah, it really does. My good friend Brian, who introduced me to that. I grew up Catholic, like Catholic, Hispanic Catholic on one side, Irish Catholic on the other, like Catholic squared. That was me. Okay? So, like, the first time I ever started hearing about other types of spirituality, I would say, was my good friend Brian. I love him so much to this day. And yeah, our apartment was filled with things just like this. And in fact, it kind of reminds me of a conversation that I think I had it with him, but we were talking about how at one point we were talking about Las Vegas, Nevada, and the Strip, right? Like how the Strip, there's only one Strip. It's not like there's a Strip in London that I know of that has casinos and things. And when we hear the Strip, you know what that is. There's only a certain amount of real estate. There's only so much of that space. And I remember talking to him at a time of just feeling really broken down and crumbled, and shit had just fallen apart everywhere. Like I felt like I can't see straight. Shit has fallen apart in every which way around me. And having the conversation about, you know, maybe that's the most amazing thing ever. And I'm like, what? Fuck you. What do you mean? No, it's not. And comparing it to the Strip in the matter of what do they do? What do they do when they're going to bring a newer, better casino to that one little tiny space of territory, that one little area? What do they do? Well, what do you mean? Well, they get rid of it. Yeah, they don't just like get rid of it. It doesn't vanish. They have to literally take sticks of dynamite to that shit. They break it all the way to the foundation.
It never even existed.
And it's not pretty when you think of rubble and pieces and everywhere. Yeah. But once that's all cleared out, something new or something more authentic, something better is able to be built on that place. And I feel like that's what's going on now.
That's what we had to do in recovery, right? We had to be down to the ground. Like
it was ugly. You hear everyone's story and it's not pretty. It's like, yeah, there was rubble everywhere.
Yeah. But if we really got to go all the way down to the ground like that, that scares me. Yeah. That shit scares me a lot.
It can be pretty scary, the thought. But again, it's all these old things. Maybe it's going to be the best thing. You know, it's terrifying right now, but maybe it's going to be part of what's required.
It's a scary thought. Like, how many people have to die? How many people have to suffer? And maybe that does have to happen, right? Maybe a lot of people do have to go. And, you know, maybe it's the way it's supposed to be. I really don't know. But back to our point of it doesn't have to be so painful as that's happening. Yes, it's going to be painful. It's going to be really freaking painful. But if we support each other and if we love each other instead of hating each other, maybe our day-to-day living could be slightly more enjoyable.
And this is like a flash in the pan, our time here.
A blip. We are like a grain of sand
even
on
if
the
you
beach.
get 100 years here, it's a
it's
flash.
like nothing. It's like nothing. Yeah, that kind of puts things into perspective in terms of our egos and how important we are and all that, you know.
We are minuscule. But at the same time, it's like we all have this beautiful spark within us. And
Yes. That's such an interesting thing. It's like we are humbled to acknowledge that we are this tiny, tiny thing. But yet we are so important. We have such an important job. We have such a duty and an obligation and a responsibility to be stewards of the earth, basically, and try and leave this planet a little bit better than we found it.
And maybe that's part of it is finding, I was having this thought yesterday, just thinking about maybe we're all here at this time, like we said, we've been carrying generation upon generation upon generation of pain from ancestors, from family trauma, from whatever else. And maybe we're here to change that DNA a little 100%. Bit, to change that pain.
And why not me? Right? Yeah. Why not us right now living today, being the ones charged with this job to do this, right? Like, why should I just kind of breeze through life easy peasy? Maybe it's an honor to have to do this work. And then in doing that work and feeling that pain and going through this process, I grow. And guess what? I get to go to heaven a little bit more enlightened than when I came here.
Yeah.
That's
less heavy.
The whole thing, right?
It's a little less heavy. And being able to help other people, that's the other thing. We're incredibly harsh on ourselves. We're also incredibly harsh on those around us. And it's like, I think when we can start not being so afraid to help people find that spark, that thing that they brought here, because they have something to offer you. And it might be terrifying that it's different than you, but imagine if you let yourself have a little bit of the spark that every single person has here.
My therapist said to me a bunch of months ago, I don't even remember, she said, now your job is to look around and realize that every single person out there has something to teach you. No matter how, stupid I think you are, because how could you think that? And, all that kind of stuff. Like, no, everybody has something to teach me. And that lack of humility that we walk around with, which keeps us divided, it's not helping me. It's just keeping me separate from you. Yep. So I want to challenge you out there. I'm probably going to be throwing some challenges to you guys throughout our episodes. I want you to step into your power. I want you to tell that voice, that fear, which I believe fearlessness is a myth. Yeah. Another false narrative circulating around the personal development world. Be fearless. Be fearless. Right. Fear is...
How about stay alive? Because fear also sometimes keeps us alive.
It's an instinct.
It is.
It motivates me, right? It keeps us safe. So it's how I use that instinct that matters. So I challenge you to not let the fear drive you. I challenge you to not let the fear control your actions. Keep fear in perspective. And go up to that person, whoever it is, man, woman, older, younger, colored, whatever color, it doesn't freaking matter. Go up to them in the supermarket or wherever you are next time, the bank or whatever, and look them in the eye and don't look away. Don't look away. Catch their eye and smile.
Oh my God. Can't even, I don't know. Can you even imagine?
Just do it. Or the person at work that you can't stand. That you're like, I should be in that position. I should get paid as much as them. They don't know shit, Go up to that person and just say, hey, what's up? How was your weekend?
Yeah, because you'll probably shock the shit out of them. I mean, they're disarmed too. And they're like, oh, wait, so-and-so's not being an asshole to me today.
Exactly. Let that jaw drop. Let it drop. And be that bigger person. Yeah. And when you walk away from that cubicle or wherever it is, right? Like, being that first one to bridge that connection is a really, really good feeling. That is a healer. You can practice being a healer just by doing that simple thing. Again, just tell that fear to take a back seat and do it anyway. Even if you're scared. Right? Do it scared, that whole thing. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's being in the fear and doing it anyway. I'm telling you, when you walk away from that person, you're going to feel great.
Yeah. To have someone say, you know what, thanks for, this has been a great conversation, and I'm in sales for a living, so part of that's always there. But the person on the other end of the conversation I was having was like, I really appreciate you, just being kind today. I don't remember the last time I've had, that was almost odd. Yeah. But she was surprised in a good way. She said, this week has sucked. I really appreciate that like you've been kind today in
Yeah,
this situation.
and that I don't know how I'm seeing it right now. I'm kind of visualizing just like a crumpled up piece of paper, almost like between the two of you. This like crumpled up weird energy. Now it's smooth and now it's flat, and now you don't ever have to worry about walking past her desk and making eye contact and having that weird feeling in between you. I'm not saying to just go up to some random stranger.
You still have to be careful.
But if you size up your situation, the only threat to you is your emotional vulnerability. The only fear you have is, are they going to reject me? Are they not going to smile back? Right. Are they going to think I'm nuts? Yeah. You know, if those are the only things going through your head that stop you from trying to bridge that connection and being that healer, I challenge you, just override it. Just do it anyway.
Yeah. Don't be so guarded with what you need to protect about yourself and what you're worried about that person might be trying to harm you. Like, instead, just be like, hey, what can this person has something to teach me today?
Because the truth is, they're thinking the same exact thing.
That's true.
We always think that somebody's thinking something of us. Meanwhile, most people are thinking about themselves 99% of the time. They're not thinking about you like you think they are.
They're not. So true.
So if you could just kind of break down that barrier and trust that the process of your true self and whatever is inside of you that's wanting you to bring healing to the world. Yeah. That's it, people.
Listen to it. Go with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the whole deal right there.
It's just like, you know, how quickly one flame can light another flame, and that can be terrifying at times and it's destructive. Yes. But it reminds me also of, what does that look like when you're in an amazing concert and you look out, and now it's with cell phones, but back in the day, to see all those flames in the air. Like, we have the ability to help each other get back to that spark.
Like, we're all in something together, and I think pain comes because we're divided. That's why we're feeling so much pain. So just, you know, make it a little bit easier for yourself. You don't have to suffer. Like, there a certain amount of suffering is necessary for growth. I totally believe that. But how long I sit in that suffering, that's optional. That's up to me. I don't need to keep myself in this pain.
It doesn't have to be the norm, and it's become the norm.
It has been. It's been rough. Ginny and I, whenever we meet up, I don't know if it was last summer or the summer before, we were at Vitality Bowls, we're having lunch, and we're going deep, and we're talking about some really cool shit, and we're like, we should just start a freaking podcast. We got some good stuff to say here.
I know I left feeling better. That was the point.
Yes.
I left that day feeling so much better. I was like, man, we should be doing this more. Not even just you and I, but like, we should be able to do this with each other.
This should be the norm. That should be the norm. When you leave those types of vulnerable, connected conversations, you feel safe. Yep. You feel safe in the world. Do. And right now we all feel so unsafe. And maybe the place we feel the most unsafe is in our own emotions. Oh, yeah. So if we could meet somebody on that emotional level, we walk away feeling empowered, and there's some healing that takes place, and then that light shines, and then you want to pass that light on to the next person.
Well, that, and then also just like getting to the place where we're encouraging one another, because we all have a different reason and purpose and a thing that sparks for us here, whatever that may be. There's so many different things it could be, but encouraging each other to find that authentic thing in us that does create that spark, you know, the thing that when you're in that place, it is inspiring people around you, and whether that be building motorcycles or running a business or whatever it is, laying concrete, I don't even care. When you're doing the thing that most inspires you and causes that spark, if we could be encouraging that it's just going to be a beautiful, amazing thing when we can encourage each other to find that place of like, hey, I want to help you find your authentic purpose here.
Put yourself right now, everybody. Visualize yourself. I don't know. I'm from New York. I worked in Manhattan for a while. Picture yourself walking down the block and you see some kids breakdancing, or you see somebody playing the violin, or you see, say you're walking around Central Park and you see all the artists set up with their easels and they're painting and they're in the moment and they're being creative and they're feeling inspired. What does that feel like to you? What is that energy, right? Yep. Like, it is undeniable that is there. That's what we're trying to inspire you to live day to day. It's not going to be there all the time. I mean, it's just not. Life is life, like we said.
But also to foster more people to find that spark, that thing, because again, it's only going to help each one of us, and it's going to allow us to do the same thing. And
it's a win-win for everybody.
Right.
It's not just for them. It's not just for you. It's for everybody, and it's for the earth. There's just so many great things that can come about from you taking the first step for you entering that energy, for you embodying that energy and saying, this is who my true self is, and this is who I'm going to bring out into the world, no matter where you are.
What I'm going to gift the world with, really. Because every single one of you, every single one of us has something incredible that no other human being ever in the history before now and after you will ever bring the same spark. And you're a mix of, again, we talk about that ancestral kind of like, you know, whatever that pain is, it's not just pain. You're also carrying the DNA of all these incredible people that were here before us.
All the triumphs and all the losses, right? That's, the duality of life.
Yep. And to be able to encourage each other to live right now in the time that we are with all of that. The dark things, the good things, the negative things, instead of trying to control each other and tell each other, well, I need you to be different because you're scaring the shit out of me. Okay?
Yeah.
I need you to not be that because it's scaring the shit out of me. No, get back to, I want you to be comfortable in exactly who it is you are, because if I can let you do that, you have something to give me to this spark.
And you can only get there by allowing that person to be who they are, by you allowing yourself to be who you are, to be yourself. Am I allowed to suggest songs on a podcast?
I don't know. Can they sue us?
I don't know. Just listen. If I'm in trouble, just come knock on my door. I promise you I'll delete this episode immediately. If it's against copyright or anything that, we really have no idea what we're doing. But please don't sue me. I'd really appreciate it.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah. So be yourself. So that phrase has been jumping out at me the past couple of weeks. And I posted a poem on my Instagram. It's called The Desiderata. I love it. It's an awesome poem.
I don't know if is it like an old?
I have it right there. You can read it afterwards.
Okay. But is it like an older?
Yeah. It's from like the 1920s. This guy Max Ehrman. Beautiful, beautiful poem. And the one phrase that jumped out at me when I was looking at it and reading it that day that I posted it was, be yourself. And a few days later, because this is just the synchronicity of my life and how things work, my very special friend sent me the Crosby, Stills and Nash song, Be Yourself.
Great song.
Yeah, I was like, that's so weird. Like, I've just been thinking about be yourself, be yourself. And then the song that I have been listening to a lot lately, I just love, by Audioslave and Chris Cornell. I mean, oh my God. Chris Cornell. He is, I don't even know. I think he's like Jesus Christ reincarnated. I mean, like, have you seen him? Have you seen a picture of him with that hair? Just throw a robe on that guy and he's like JC. Like, I don't even know. But anyway, this song is called Be Yourself.
I hear you.
He is just, that voice. Oh my God, the soulfulness that comes out of that man is just a tortured soul, right?
That's what I was going to say, but also clearly one of the most incredible, inspiring, and you listen to his music and it hits you. He was clearly in a very dark place.
You know, the most artistic people, a lot of us are dark and have those demons and, you know, have struggle with addiction and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I freaking love the song Be Yourself. Go listen to it.
Yes, do it.
I call it new old music. I've been checking out a lot of new old music.
I started listening sometimes on Spotify or YouTube even, where I could find a full album. I've been listening from beginning to end. I did it with 10 not that long ago.
Awesome.
Beginning to end, and listening to just the music and allowing myself to listen to someone in their place of where I can be inspired again and don't, like, just the way we used to. You have to listen to a CD from beginning to end. Go back and listen to some old new music, like Amanda said. Yeah, don't listen to a bunch of, you know, crap or people yapping. And I mean, I'm saying that as I... as we sit here doing a podcast. In between listening to us yap about some bullshit, just stop listening and go listen to a full album. You'll be so glad you did.
Oh my gosh, music is so inspiring. It's the best. It's my favorite thing to do. I mean, I love driving, I think, because I love listening to music in my car.
Yeah. It's a good place for it. And it gives you that place. There's artists out there where you can be so inspired. Somebody can spark something inside of you because of the fact that they authentically wrote that piece of music.
Totally. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say?
I'm just super excited to be here. I'm just so happy to be here. I'm really honored. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this with you. And I'm looking forward to us being able to connect with you guys too, because you have a lot to teach us as well. And I'm just looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to having more connection and all of us evolving a little more in that light.
Yeah, and if you guys have any reaction to this or you want to talk about anything more, I am a social butterfly. I love talking to people. Yes. So reach out to me if you want. My email is amanda@amandamccoyflanagan.com. It's McCoy with a K. Just Google it. And reach out to me. You know, I'm here for you. We're here for you. Even if you have like topics and things you want to talk about, throw them out there.
For sure.
We'll totally talk about it.
We would love to hear that. Reach out to me as well. Ginny, GINNYO Smith @gmail.com.
So, Ginny, thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me, man. I tell everybody, I'm like, oh my God, I was on this podcast with this girl, Ginny, you'd love her. That's the first thing I say. You'd love her. You know?
She's a little off the rocker, but she's pretty fucking cool.
Amazing. You're amazing. And there's really nobody else that I could sit in this room and just bounce off of. Just bounce. I just feel like that's what we do. Like you say something and then it's like sparks this thing. And it's like, yeah. And then it just goes. And we've probably been talking way too long.
For sure. Hopefully you were on a really long car ride to somewhere.
Yeah. And if you've gotten this far, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for sticking around, kids.
Yeah.
We're glad and we're excited to get connected with you and build this community. We're so happy you're here. So thank you again.
Yeah. So this is going to be a bi-weekly show, by the way. Come back. Check us out in 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about the big bad monster shame.
Ugh, God. Don't we all have some of that?
Yeah.
Ugh.
But, you know, part of breaking these walls down and doing this work, you got to look at that.
It's true.
So we're not only going to talk about it, we're going to give you guys some really great tools and tips.
Yes.
To burn that shit to the ground, baby.
Yeah, baby. Burn that shit to the ground. Let's do this.
All right, guys. We're going to run. Have a great night, day, whatever.
Thank you.
Peace. If this podcast resonates with you and you want to dive deeper, check out my blog, Get Real, all in on love, loss, and connection at AmandaMcCoyFlanagan.com. That's McCoy with a K. You can also follow me on Instagram at Amanda McCoy Flanagan.
See you next time. Until then, let that soul rise.